Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
When I was born, I weighed less than 2 pounds. And I got the nickname Tiny, and it has stuck with me for 78 years. All my friends call me Tiny. All my Marine Corps buddies call me Barney.
Barney Barnes. Barney has the kind of personality that you feel like you've known him a long time, even if you haven't.
You said they called you Hillbilly when you were in Vietnam. Is that right?
Yes, they did. And it was funny because if you look up the definition of hillbilly, it says Michigan dirt farmer. Well, I'm not from Michigan. I'm from Alabama.
Today, Barney Barnes lives in Oklahoma, but he grew up in Birmingham.
I got to Vietnam September 67.
He fought with the Golf 25 Marines, Golf Company, 2nd Battalion, 5th Marine Regiment. Barney is a big University of Alabama football fan. He loves to talk about college football. But mostly our conversations are about one day in the war in Vietnam.
January 31st.
1968.
You were at Phu Bai that night when the rockets hit Phu Bai?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What do you remember about that night?
It was a company-size patrol. Probably around 2 o'clock in the morning, we saw rockets streaming over our heads, hitting the air base at Phu Bai.
That rocket attack, one of many attacks that started the Tet Offensive.
So we called in and asked what, do we need to go pursue them or what? And they said, no, just hold your position, come back in the morning. We came back in, went to chow.
We got to eat a hot meal in a mess hall, which to us was a luxury.
That morning, different rumors were spreading through the ranks of Golf Company.
Some people said, well, ANWR got hit real bad, so we're going down to the LZ, get on choppers, and we're going back to ANWR.
All of a sudden, word come out for us to get ready. We was going to move up to a place called Way City.
That was Bill Tant.
There's a few NBA soldiers in Way City causing the disturbance.
It was around this time that Richard Cobb, who also fought with Golf Company, says he heard about a South Vietnamese general who was in trouble.
The word we got, he was receiving sniper fire, and we were going to escort him back to Phu Bai.
Barney Barnes and Bill Tant say they don't remember hearing about the general just yet, but they all remember what they were told next.
Pack light.
You just need your 782 gear.
Flak jackets, helmets, ammo.
And your weapons.
Don't bring your pack.
Lever packs.
Don't bring your chow.
We'd be back probably that evening.
We'll be back inside the line of Phu Bai at 1800. So we left, and 31 days later, we came back.
Today, I want to tell you a story about the battle for Hue and the Vietnam War. My name is Josh Rowe, and this is Tomorrowtown, Tennessee. This is episode 2 of our series on the battle for Hue and the war in Vietnam. We call this series The Battle That Changed Everything. It's Sunday morning, about 11 a.m., July 6, 2025, the Sunday of the Independence Day weekend, and I'm driving to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to see a man named Billy Tant. Billy Tant, he fought with Golf 25 at the Battle for Hue. So he was there on the first day of the battle, and he saw some heavy combat for sure. And I wanted to come down here and sit down with him and talk to him face to face to really try to understand how this battle has impacted his life.
It was just one hell of a life experience, I'll put it that way.
I was only in Alabama for a few hours, but that's an afternoon I will never forget.
There are just certain things and there's probably some stuff I won't never mention. It's just, I've told you today more than I ever told my sister, my daddy. You don't come home and tell your family and people you went to church with that I just got good at my job. And I was. And I'm not ashamed of it.
We sat in a small dining room.
He was my best friend, and this is Tony. I called him William Bendix because he looked like an old man. He got killed in Way.
He showed me memories from boot camp.
90% of them guys, guess what their MOS was?
MOS, Military Occupational Specialty.
0311, 0311, 0311.
Is that right? 0311, Marine Corps Riflemen, Infantry Marines.
Very few of them had any other MOS. I've got to be on this page.
Looking.
Have I lost that page? That's me right there.
Found him. Square jaw, 19. Somebody wrote Billy in the top left corner in blue ink. Bill Tant left Marine Corps boot camp at Parris Island in September of 67. 4 months and 9 days later, he left Phu Bai, back of a big truck, rolling north, up Highway 1, on the way, two-way.
You could see them, man. They were just, damn, how many of them are there?
On our first episode, you met Marine Corps veteran Bill Purcell. He fought with Alpha 11.
We got wounded. We dragged off the tanks with us, and they were laying in the street, and we formed a circle around them.
Alpha 11, the first U.S. forces sent away after thousands of NVA troops took control of the city.
And we were firing to every window, doorway, whatever we could find.
John Legato was also there that day when Alpha 11 was ambushed.
The company radio man, Corporal Williams, was on the right side of the tank in front of us. He flew off, and I jumped off the tank behind, and I remember grabbing Williams. I didn't know who he was at the time. He was just bleeding. And I remember dragging him in a courtyard. And I remember looking down and his legs were gone at his knees. And I could remember Williams very lucid. He was asking me how he was, and I'm looking at his stumps. And I remember he tried to boost himself up, and I pushed him down and I said, hey man, you just got some shrapnel in your legs. You'll be okay.
And we got the wounded, and we kicked in the doors and got the wounded out of the street, and they were shot up pretty bad.
And they took a serious beating. I mean, it was brutal.
Golf 25 reinforced Alpha 11 a couple of hours after Alpha Company was ambushed along the road to Way.
When we came up on Alpha 11, your brain transitions back from, wow, this is going to be a nice break, from patrolling or out in the bush. We just take a little truck ride into a beautiful city to, holy crap, we're going to die.
That's Richard Cobb from Golf 25 again.
We started to assault across this long causeway.
Even though it was still unclear what exactly was happening in the city, 1-1's battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Gravel, put together the second convoy to head towards Way. In that convoy, Colonel Gravel, Golf 25, 1-1's operations officer, Major Walter Murphy, and Navy chaplain, Father Richard Lyons.
We were getting what we thought probably was 50 caliber fire. And you could see pieces of the truck flying off as they were being hit.
Our objective at the time wasn't to go get them. It was to get to MACV.
The only place on the south side of Way that was held by U.S. and Allied forces was the MACV compound.
We made it into the MACV compound.
MACV, Military Assistance Command Vietnam.
Somebody in the rear.
I often wondered, and I don't care if I'm going to hurt some officer's feelings, I could care less. Who is the idiot?
Brigadier General didn't know what the hell was going on, ordered Golf 25 across the bridge.
To cross that deadgum Perfume River Bridge.
Get to the Citadel.
The city of Hue has a large river flowing right through the middle. The Americans called it the Perfume River. On the south side, that's what's considered the modern city. This is where the Marines are now at the compound. On the other side of the river is a fortress called the Citadel. This was the home of the former emperor of Vietnam. So inside that fortress, there's a palace surrounded by...
some places 30-foot thick walls.
And those walls are surrounded by what's called the Old City, and that is surrounded by more walls.
It had a moat around it.
Yep, a moat.
And we were going to get a general on the backside of the Citadel.
The fortress is built to keep people out, and there are thousands of NVA troops inside waiting on those Marines.
I knew there was way more of them than there was of us. I mean, that was obvious.
Captain Meadows, according to him, called back to Phu and advised him of the situation, and he was told that he had his orders and to proceed on to the Citadel.
You met Alpha 1's Larry Lewis in episode 1. He will arrive in Hue a couple of days into the battle, so he's not there just yet, but he has heard the stories of what happened on the first day for decades.
He sent back and told Colonel Gravel, we have no report of that many NVA soldiers or any outfit there. He said, I'm telling you to go across the bridge.
These Marines were part of what was called Task Force X-Ray. At this point, the Task Force Command did not understand the enemy troop strength in Hue, and for whatever reason, the officers in Phu Bai were not listening to the officers on the ground in the fight.
I had threatened Colonel Gravel to relieve him of his duties if he didn't send those men across. And he did, and it was just, it wasn't pretty at all.
Captain Meadows came out of the MACB compound, called all the lieutenants up and said our orders were to cross the bridge, turn left, go down to the Thong 2 gate, enter the gate, work our way back to the northeast corner, back corner of the Citadel.
John Legato again.
Sending Goff across there was a suicide mission.
Second platoon was designated as the point platoon. My squad was the point. And there were 2 Arvin tanks sitting by the entrance going over to the bridge. So I climbed up on one and I tried to get the tank commanders to drive his tank across the bridge. He wouldn't do it. He flat out refused. So I got back down and told my guys, all right, here we go.
So Barney Barnes goes in, third man from the front in that point platoon.
And I told him, don't know what's over there, but I said, I'm pretty sure we're going to get contact at some point.
And Bill Tant, Richard Cobb, they're in the next platoon back.
Started out across that bridge, and I thought, man, this is pretty. This is pretty beautiful.
Nothing went on until we reached the crest of the bridge.
And then when you get up here,
all hell broke out.
That's when they opened up.
And they ran into a butcher shop.
Rounds is ricocheting off them steel girders.
We heard the firing. It was really bad.
Ding, 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 ding. I mean,
Fire coming from every direction, rounds whizzing by your ears.
Machine gun down at the other end of the ridge firing down the ridge towards us. And we started taking some casualties in.
2 guys in front of me and my squad got hit and they went down. And I turned around and said, let's go, let's get across this bridge.
I can't say at that time I hadn't really got scared. I'm just running like hell.
We can't get clustered up here. That's the worst thing we can do.
Just knowing we got to get off this bridge. That ain't got nothing to do with Marine Corps training or anything else. That's just common damn sense.
A Marine officer came up to me, and I think it was talking to Chuck Meadows afterwards. I think it was probably Lieutenant Colonel Gravel.
Bob Lawver is the commander of a Quad 50, big truck with 4 50 caliber machine guns.
And he said, hey, Sarge, can you help me out? Our guys are getting chopped to pieces there.
Sergeant Lawver is just south of the river, near the bridge, watching the whole fight unfold.
I sort of shrugged and looked at the guys and said, let's go. But went through my head, and I'm sure the other guys' head after what we'd just seen. There's no way in hell we're coming back from this one.
This battle happened 57 years ago, and memories are imperfect. And add to that, the fog of war.
When you're getting shot at, a guy can be 5 feet away from you. Y'all looking in the same direction, and he'll see a total different picture than you will. What I would see later on, especially this first day, other people didn't see it. And what they saw, of course, I didn't see it because I wasn't where they were at. And we weren't 20, 25 feet apart.
So you'll have veterans who were in the same fight with different memories of what happened.
We started across the bridge.
You can find many versions of this story that have the Quad 50s crossing the bridge at different times during the fight. Bob Lawver, along with Barney Barnes, and at least one other Marine I spoke to who was right there with Barney, say this is when Sergeant Lawver drove across the bridge.
As we were going across the bridge, I saw 2 Marines running right beside us.
Barney Barnes and Lester Tully.
And Lester Tully came up, and Barney and them were having to expose themselves.
The one guy had a bag of grenades.
Lester Tully.
The other guy was firing his M16 from his hip.
Barney Barnes.
They took out the machine gun themselves, which probably saved quite a few more people.
And this is how Barney Barnes tells that story.
On the right-hand side of the bridge, we tried to set up a machine gun unsuccessfully. The A gunner and the gunner got hit within a few minutes. But I believe that gave Lester the opportunity to rise up and throw the grenades into the bunker and knock it out because they were concentrating on our machine gun position. And there was other Marines up there with him that provided cover fire while he threw the grenades into the bunker. And then
clarify that for me a little bit, because like I mentioned, Richard Cobb told me that you were right there as well. Where were you when Tully threw that grenade?
I was right next to him.
If I ever saw 2 people deserve Medal of Honor, it was those 2 guys.
Now, Lester got a Silver Star, and he vastly deserved it.
That's when I first saw Bob after Lester threw the grenades into the bunker.
We fired at every muzzle flash. We fired at every window. We fired at everything we saw.
When they started opening up with the quads, I mean, they were shooting everything.
Years after Vietnam, Bob Lawver invited Company Commander Chuck Meadows to speak at a reunion to talk about his life since the war.
Instead, he got up on the dais and he started talking about Way. And then he started talking about me. And I had tears running down my face because I never, ever expected that. And he's the first person that said, if it wouldn't have been for that Quad 50, I'd have lost half my company. And that's a hard thing to have somebody to say.
He saved a lot of lives that day. Definitely, him and Lester.
So you're the lead element going in, and then first platoon passes you.
Right.
Is that right?
Right. When we got to the end of the bridge, they took over his point.
So at this point, Barney and his platoon that led the way over the bridge would stay right there for now. And as the fight continued, 3rd Platoon would go right to chase down soldiers shooting at them from that direction. But at this moment, 1st Platoon, with Bill Tant and Richard Cobb, they go left and toward the Citadel.
We went a block and a half, 2 blocks.
As we were going, I remember it's kind of surreal. There was this giant cowboy cutout cardboard on the side of the road in front of a movie theater. And I'm thinking, this is just kind of out of whack here, looking at cowboys drawing their guns on us while we're in a firefight.
We started going towards what has become known as Ambush Corner.
Took a right turn, and at the end of the street, you could see the Citadel Gate.
On my side of the street, there was 1 tree. And there's been people arguing with me, there wasn't no tree up there. Well, hell, if there wasn't no tree up there, I wouldn't be sitting here.
The Citadel Wall, which is tremendous. It's unbelievable how tall that wall was when you're looking at it.
A flag run up right there in the arch of that gateway going into the Citadel. Red flag, big yellow star. And I knew that. And I turned around, I did this, trying to tell people to go back. And that's when he opened up with that gun.
The volume of fire just intensified. It was incredible.
He hit over here.
The intensity of the fire was so heavy. It was just mind-boggling.
There was a wall. On my side of the street over here, there was stores and buildings. Over here was a wall about 6, 7 foot high. Just no gate, not just a wall. And then some buildings up here. And I just planted up against that wall. And I remember that gun come down like this and started over here. All I can figure is he rested his finger. He just shot a couple of short bursts. I didn't get a scratch on me. He hit Corporal Lucas.
He got shot out in the middle of the street.
Didn't know if he was still alive or not.
Glenn Lucas only had 10 days to go to complete his tour in Vietnam, and now he's lying in the street. At this point, he's still alive, but there's no way to get to him without also being shot.
And Lance Corporal Lucas was down behind him. He had turned and hit him in the throat. He would live.
All the doors of the shops along the street had steel shutters with padlocks on them.
Doors and windows was boarded shut. I couldn't get off the street. That's where the tree is. There was a tree, and I got behind that tree. And I fired maybe a magazine. I could see the machine gunner. I could see where he's at. Every time he'd pop up, I'd try to shoot back. The guys over here couldn't see him because of the tree, the foliage. He's up here and they couldn't see him. And we had a guy over there, Kitty Buchanan, and I'm hollering at him. He's got an M79.
A grenade launcher.
If he could have seen that gunner, he could have took him out, but he couldn't see him. And I'm hollering and yelling and pointing, and they think I'm hit. That's what they told me after we got. I wasn't hit. I was trying to point where the gun was. Well, Lance Corporal Kenny was a machine gunner. He gets out. I think he understood what I was saying. So he moves up where he can set his gun up where he can see them, and he didn't even he got killed right there as soon as he exposed himself.
Marines are being shot, some dying right in front of him in this firefight. And then his M16 malfunctions.
And I'm sitting there putting one round at a time, and that M16, that was the early ones. And don't tell me you keep them clean, they won't jam.
Donald Kirkham was our Navy corpsman.
The bravest thing I ever saw in my life.
This is what bothers me.
Here comes Doc Kirkham. And Corporal Lucas seen him. He's laying there, and I can see Corporal Lucas bleeding on both sides. I think they just shot him through and through. And he could barely pick his arm up, and he did that.
Corporal Glenn Lucas was trying to tell Doc Kirkham to not come out in the street.
No, don't come out here. Don't come out here. And he went.
Doc kept coming.
He went out in that street to rescue Corporal Lucas, knowing full well that if he went there, he probably wouldn't be coming back. And that's exactly what happened.
I read somewhere where they said he shot dead instantly. Well, his mom and daddy's gone now, so he didn't die instantly. They cut that jugular vein. Now, you got to understand, this guy's 20, 25 feet from me, and I can't get to him. Corporal Lucas is closer than that. That tree's about this big around. There's no place to get him, and every time his heart beats, you could just see the blood spurt. And Doc Kirkham looked at me, and he just looked at me, and he mouthed the words, "I'm dead." And he bled out right there on that street. But he kept coming, knowing there was no cover.
For that, he got the Silver Star. I think it should have been at least a Navy Cross. Because he knew that if he went across that street, he wasn't coming back, and yet he still did it.
I couldn't get Doc Kirkham. I couldn't get to Lance Corporal Lucas.
When Lucas and Doc Kirkham went down, Captain Meadows got out his moral compass and said, "This is enough. I'm not getting any more of my men killed."
Captain Meadows started yelling for everybody to pull back.
When they got everybody off to start with, and they took a head count, I ain't there. Corporal Lucas ain't there. Doc Kirkham ain't there. Lewis ain't there. And Gerald Kinney ain't there. And I'm leaving somebody, I can't remember, somebody else.
And he stepped out in the middle of the street and started throwing smoke grenades to give us cover.
Of course, they don't quit shooting. They know we in that smoke, but you know, at least they can't see us. It's kind of like when you're a kid covering your head up so the boogers don't get you. You know, we got smoke we can hide in.
We recovered all the dead and wounded from the street.
And I grabbed Corporal Lucas. I grabbed somebody. I grabbed one of them. I don't know which one. And drug him off that street. Captain Meadows went up that street on his side by himself to get Gerald Kinney's body. He went up there by himself to get that body. All the rest of us is off the street. I don't think he ever got recognized for that.
An enterprising young private, can't remember his name, but he managed to commandeer a Vietnamese truck that was parked on the street.
We started loading the dead and wounded, and there was a bunch of them.
As the fight at Ambush Corner was happening, one once Colonel Marcus Gravel and others worked to get Gulf Company Marines who were dead and wounded back across the bridge.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the number is somewhere between 40 and 50 wounded or killed just in that little bit of time.
Major Walter Murphy and Father Richard Lyons were part of the group who crossed the bridge to help recover Gulf 25 Marines who were dead or wounded and lying on the bridge and in the street in front of the Citadel.
Before we actually got the truck across the river, while we were loading it.
At this point, there was a blast, likely from a grenade.
And blew quite a few of the people back out of the truck. So we had to reload them again and then made our way back across the river.
Major Murphy and Father Lyons were both injured in the blast. A piece of shrapnel sunk deep into Major Murphy's chest just under his flak jacket.
So Murphy was not bleeding like the other. It was a triage. I mean, there were guys with no legs that, you know, they had to treat or do whatever.
And this is John Legato from Alpha Company again.
Father Lyons was on a door. He was being treated. Father Lyons got wounded. And he had Father Lyons come over and give him last rites.
They were saying, anybody got a pad and pencil? Anybody got a pad and pencil? So I went over to their truck, climbed up and gave them my pad and pencil, pad and pen. And they were leaning down. The guy was almost on his knees with his ear next to Major Murphy. I couldn't hear what he was saying, but the corpsman sat up with a medic. I don't know what he was. Major Murphy gave a loud moan and said, "God, please help my Marines." That was it. I guess he'll hear those freaking words.
Major Walter M. Murphy was posthumously awarded the Silver Star. Before he went to Vietnam, he was a demolitions instructor at the Marine base at Quantico, Virginia. In 2015, Major Murphy's family attended a ceremony at Quantico. The Marine Corps named a demolition range after Major Murphy for his bravery on January 31st, 1968 at the Battle for Hue. 5 members of Gulf 25 were killed as they attempted to get inside the Citadel that afternoon. Private First Class Gerald Kinney, Corporal Glenn Lucas, and Navy Corpsman Donald Kirkham were all killed on Ambush Corner. Clyde Carter was a machine gunner who was killed on the bridge. Horace Howard was killed on the sidewalk between the movie theater and Ambush Corner.
We went back across the bridge. Tully and I set up a position on the riverbank. 3rd Platoon went on a night ambush at the back end of the MacB compound, and I think 1st Platoon, because they had lost so many people, stayed inside the MacB that night. And while all this was going on, nobody in Fubai knew anything. There was no communication whatsoever.
I don't know how long that firefight lasted, but I changed 100%. I just wasn't the same person after that. And to think it would just, for what?
Battle That Changed Everything is a special mini-series on the Battle for Hue and the war in Vietnam, and is part of our podcast, Tomorrowtown, Tennessee. This podcast is hosted, produced, recorded, edited, and all the other things by me, Josh Rowe. Our next bonus content is next week. That's an extended version of Bill Tant telling the story of what he witnessed and experienced on Ambush Corner. If you've made it this far in the episode, I promise you will want to see this. That video will be posted next week, Tuesday, August 19th. That will be posted on my YouTube channel. That's at Josh Rowe. There's a link to that in the show notes in the description of this episode, or just search my name on YouTube. That is JOSHROE. And next time on the Battle That Changed Everything, more reinforcements join the fight, including Hotel 25 and Corporal Bob Meadows.
Here's a picture of me and my dad sitting at the table drinking coffee the night before I went to Vietnam. We sat up all night. You see that big woman over there, that nurse? That's going to be me or her. One of us is leaving this place. I couldn't tell you what day it was. I don't remember ever being supplied with food, sea rations, water. There was a big, huge fountain. I remember that fountain. And we went to the right to go around the fountain and hadn't gone maybe 200 feet, and boom, the truck in front of me blowed up.
You can find extended interviews and more on my YouTube channel. That is at Josh Rowe, JOSHROE. Just look for the section at the top of the page titled The Battle That Changed Everything. Also, this series would not be possible without all the many books and texts and videos produced previously about the Battle for Hue. You can find more on the resources that provided valuable background for this series and the show notes for this episode. Tomorrowtown, Tennessee is a production of NewsChannel 9, Fox Chattanooga, and Sinclair Broadcast Group Chattanooga. I hope you join me again real soon.
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.